We're here to protect you and the ones that you love. It's a good feeling to know that our efforts aren't going unnoticed.
It actually brought tears to my eyes to know that we have this support.
You're welcome. I must just say you're welcome. It's stressful, but we're not going anywhere.
Welcome to another edition of Bucknell Women's Soccer Through the Decades. This session we get to talk to the ladies who made the 1990s a special time here at Bucknell for women's soccer. We had some great soccer teams back then, and tonight we get to hear from them. And we also will hear from one of our current players on the women's teams. Alana Carlucci is on the call with us, as well as Coach Kelly Cook, our head coach. And this is a great opportunity to talk some Bucknell women's soccer and celebrate all the program has become. I want to thank Geisinger for sponsoring this session and for all you've done for our community here during the pandemic and all the medical profession does to help everyone along the way. So my name is Todd Newcomb, and without any further ado, I'm going to introduce the guests we have tonight from the 90s. And we've got a great group, and it's going to take me a second to get through all these honors because they really put together a list of them. Our first guest is, and I'm going to use maiden names, ladies, so that folks that follow the program will recognize the names. As we go around, you can introduce yourself with your married name if you'd like. For this purpose, I'll use maiden names. So our guest is from the class of 1995, and that's Lisa Gibbons. Lisa was a team captain in 1994. She still holds the single game records for goals, assists, and points, the single season records for goals, assists, and points, and the career records for goals with 66, assists with 35, and points with 167. She had a school record 15 game-winning goals during her career. League first team in 1992, 93, and 94. She was Patriot League Rookie of the Year in 1991. Patriot League Offensive Player of the Year in 1993. She was a United Soccer Coaches All-Region First Team Selection in 1994, and she won the Christy Mathewson Award as a female athlete in the class of 1995. Lisa also became the first women's soccer player inducted into the Bucknell Athletics Hall of Fame in the year 2006. Our second guest from the class of 1998 is Liz Woodrow. Liz ranks second on the career points and assists list with 100 and 122 respectively, and third with 39 goals. She had 10 game-winning goals in her career. She was all Patriot League first team in 1995 and 1997. She was all Patriot League second team in 1996, and she won the Bradley N. Tufts Award at the Senior Awards Dinner. Our guest from the class of 1997 is Becky Snover. Becky was a team captain in 1995 and 1996. She still holds the record for the most saves in a single game when she was 23 against Fairfield in 1993. She still holds the career marks for goalie saves at 456 and save percentage at .849. She ranks tied for second on the career list with 30 goalie wins. She was all Patriot League second team in 1995, and she won the Bison Club Award at the Senior Awards Dinner. Our next guest from the class of 2000 is Katie McElligott. Katie ranks 9th with 55 career points and 26 career goals. She was all Patriot League second team in 1996, 97, and 98. She was all Patriot League first team in 1999, and that makes her just one of 2 Bucknell players to have earned all status all 4 years of her career. She won the Alvin F. Jackson Jr. Memorial Scholar Athlete Award at the Senior Awards Dinner as the top scholar athlete. Student athlete, as I mentioned, Alana Carlucci. Alana is a junior defender from Berlin, Massachusetts. So, Coach, there you have it. We've got a great group, and I'm going to kick it over to you and let us get going.
So I want to start by welcome you guys all to the call. Thank you so much for joining us tonight in this call. And after hearing what Todd had to say, it's a pretty impressive group. A lot of points, a lot of goals. I'd love to get this group back for our 4v4 tournament in the spring. I think this could be a competitive group, just based on those statistics. But no, I just want to thank you guys and welcome you, and really looking forward to hearing from you guys about your experiences here at Bucknell. So first off, We'll go in the order you guys were introduced. I think that will be just easy for us to move through the transitions here. If you could just take a look back at the beginning and tell us how your recruitment to Bucknell, or how your decision to attend Bucknell unfolded those just few years ago.
Okay, so I guess I'm first. Lisa Gibbons. For me, it was, I had been recruited by the program for a while, and I had a lot of, I felt like I was a little burnt out from the ODP program, and I really wanted to be at a place where I knew what my role. He was really just super humble, just really, told me exactly where I would fit in. He was I just really liked the way that he presented the school, his program, and just himself. Just really easy to get to know, easy to talk to. And, he was just really upfront, with telling me, you're going to help start this program, and it's going to be tough, but, we really, we need all the help we can get, and we would love for you to be a part of it. So for me, I just like the fact that I knew exactly what my role was. I didn't have to feel like I was going into a program where it'd be cutthroat, and, you didn't know if you were going to start, and you didn't know how long it would be before you would play. I just wanted to be in a place where I could be as much help.
While Lisa tries to figure it out, we could go.
Okay.
We can go to Liz.
Well,
yeah, if Lisa can try and figure out the internet possibility.
Okay, sounds good. Well, to be totally honest, I was really not recruited by anyone. I recruited Bucknell. So I grew up in Alabama. This is going to make me sound really a lot older than I am, but there was one girls soccer team in Alabama when I was growing up. So not too many colleges came to my neck of the woods. So I remember sitting with my club coach, who was a dad, sort of going through VCR videotapes, trying to put some clips together to try to help me out to send to different colleges. So I knew I wanted to play Division I soccer, or try to, and I wanted to go to the best possible school that I could. So I had a lot of family in Pennsylvania, so I was familiar with Bucknell. So I sent in my tape just sort of on a whim, and ended up talking to Toby and visiting Bucknell, and realizing that it was seemed like a really great place, and it sort of matched everything that I was looking for. So I don't have that great story. I'm the person that sent the tape in and said, please let me be on your team. So that's my recruiting story.
We were so lucky that you did that, Liz. Yeah, I mean, just to level set, I mean, my freshman year was 1993, and honestly, the World Wide Web became publicly available in 1991. So nobody used it. There was no email. There was no, there weren't like these big, academies and clubs like where coaches were having showcases. It was literally like you had to figure this out on your own, unless you came from like a big time program. And I had, through my high school team, we had gone to, every year a camp in West Virginia that, had counselors from the Rutgers women's team, and being from New Jersey. So I had the connection and a little bit of recruiting. I kind of started the recruiting process with Rutgers, and I did not want to stay in New Jersey and did not want to go to a school that large. And again, I think even though my passion, I loved soccer, my college experience, I didn't want to be completely framed by it. So I was definitely looking for something smaller. So I was focusing more on the smaller schools after a while. But it was, Liz, you mentioned the VCR tapes. Like, I remember my uncle literally taking one VCR and hooking it to another VCR, and stopping and starting to make highlight reels. But literally Bucknell was at a college fair at my high school, and I had never heard of it, to be honest with you. And I started picking up the pamphlets, and I was like, wow, this looks like a really nice school. And so I just sent in information, my information in. And then I did send my tape to Toby. Lavecchio, the coach at the time. And then, about a week later, I got a letter from him that, said they're desperately looking for a goalkeeper and he would love it if I would come to campus and just start the conversation. And honestly, I didn't even need to hear about the soccer program. I remember pulling in on Route 15, up over the hill and just seeing campus. And I was like, this is where I'm going. I didn't even need to even really learn too much about the soccer program. I literally pulled onto campus and felt like I was at home. Didn't even go and look at any place else after that. Unfortunately, it worked out. So that was definitely very different than I'm sure recruiting experiences are today.
Right.
Sounds like Bucknell women's soccer got some good luck here with some of these stories.
I mean, to be honest with what Liz was saying about having one girl soccer team, I didn't play on a girls soccer team. I had a boys soccer team growing up until ODP. That was the first time there were other girls that I could play with. And I guess I was probably Toby's last recruiting class. He was just there for my freshman year. I can't really remember where he would have seen me. It was probably at an ODP event somewhere along the lines, but for me, I knew I wanted to get a top education and play Division I soccer, and to be able to go someplace like Bucknell that might not have been accessible to me without being able to play soccer, and he was able to really make it work for me to be able to go to a top school like Bucknell. Always knew I wanted to play Division I soccer, and I think, like Becky said, as soon as I showed up at Bucknell for my my weekend visit, just knew that was going to be the place that I was going to spend the next 4 years.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. So next question for you guys. As a player, talk about how you matured on the field from the day one freshman year to your senior year.
All right, I'm going to try this again. Do I sound any better?
Yes.
Okay, I was too far away from the internet, my bad. So for me, it was really just getting used to the program and coming in, kind of not knowing what to expect, and starting right away, which I'm sure most of you girls did as well, and feeling like you had to pull a lot of weight the freshman year because there wasn't a whole lot of players that came in that were as competitive the first year. And then as we continued to get more recruits in, for me, it just got better and better. People like Liz and Becky coming in and being really competitive. I felt like, as every year progressed, there was more and more awesome players around, and the program continued to get better and better. So for me, the freshman year, for me, it was very difficult. But then, as soon as I started to get more and more players around our program, it just blossomed, and then we continued to get better as a team. And so it just progressed from there. So I thank you, Liz and Becky, and all the amazing players that came in that were recruited. It really was like night and day from being a freshman to being a senior. Hold on. Sorry, I've got company. And I'm a mom.
So I think the major difference for me was really just sort of that overall level of nervousness. I mean, coming from 800 miles away, and my parents just sort of shoved me out of the station wagon and said, "See you at Christmas." But a freshman year preseason was terrifying, and there was a lot of nervousness of where you fit in and all that sort of thing. So I think just the general anxiety level from freshman year all the way through to senior year was probably the major difference for me, and it sort of allowed us to really focus on our game and not worry so much about the nerves and all of that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, God, I was scared to death that preseason, my freshman year. I had, they sent out Toby had sent out the summer workout, and you do that the best you can, but until you're out there with 25 other women and just figuring out how you actually prepare to play in college, to me, that was the biggest eye-opening experience, right? I've never experienced anything like that my freshman year preseason, because it was literally like a little bit of PTSD I think I have from it still. But like I literally, like I came in, it was I think I was like the first goalkeeper that had been like seriously recruited, if you want to call it that. And I remember, and Lisa, I don't know if you remember this, but literally like the first thing, I think on the first day, Toby put me in the goal, and he had the entire team line up to take shots at me. And they were like, if you guys all win, if you score more goals, then she's running. And if I saved more, then you're all running. And I was like, oh my God. Like, this is my first experience, and all of the, so it was crazy, but it didn't take long to really just start to realize how amazing everybody was. And they so quickly became like my best friends, and like we all had each other's backs. And I think that thing that started pretty quickly. Once the nerves subsided, that bond started with everybody very quickly, and it only grew all the way through, my senior year, and, through, till today. So, I mean, gosh, I haven't seen Liz and Lisa and Gelly in over 20 years, and I feel like it was yesterday. So,
It feel like yesterday.
And Gelly is me, by the way. That's my that's my nickname, McElligott. But yeah, just to say what everyone else said, it's a huge transition from club soccer, high school, being at home, to that freshman year. Just the intensity of preseason. It's a lot, being away from home, travel, your studies. It's a lot to take on. I mean, for me, it was definitely my first time away from home. It was a lot, and we had an amazing group of seniors. And I mean, that's Becky in that class. I just felt like there was so much support to help us transition in and grow through the years. And I hope we had the same impact on the freshmen when we were seniors, but it really did help to feel like you were home and in a program that you could feel like you could grow. And that's what freshman year was for me. And I hope it was the same when we were seniors for the freshmen who came in.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, guys. Next up, Alana's going to ask her question. So I'm going to turn it over to Alana.
Okay, so what advice would you give me or any of the other players that are currently in our program today about the college soccer experience at Bucknell?
Are we going in order still? I can start. Just really enjoy it. Just enjoy school. Enjoy playing, because this could be the last time you're a part of a competitive sports program. And I remember when I got out of school, I played a little semi-pro soccer, but it was nothing, like being able to travel and not have to actually pay for travel, and not actually have to call in for work, and, try to make games, and all the crazy stuff that happens, when you have to have a full-time job and try to fit in a sport. So for me, just really just enjoy it, have as much fun as you can, obviously within reason, but, you'll rarely are going to get that opportunity to be able to play something that you love, and you really don't have to make much time for it. It makes time for itself, and you don't have to pay for it, and it's provided for you. And just, I miss those days, and it doesn't come back, and it gets harder and harder to play as you get older. So just relish it.
I would totally echo that. If there's any way you can try to enjoy every minute of it, definitely do. I know there are good days and bad days, but it goes so fast, and work is not near as fun when you do something good. No one is like clearing the bench and like tackling you when you score the winning goal. Like, it's like not like that at all. So I think we're all lucky that we're able to experience something like that in college athletics, because it's not near as fun at work. So if you can enjoy every minute of it, do the best you can to do that.
And I'm going to be a broken record because that's absolutely the truth. Every single thing that, you know, Lisa and Liz said, and I would maybe just add is just try and be as centered and balanced as you can. I know it gets so stressful. I always try and tell people, you know, I have friends who you know, whose daughters or children in general are, you know, striving to play Division I sports, and they're, you know, hoping to get a scholarship, and they're doing so many things. And the one thing I was just trying, you know, remind them, or at least give them a little bit of perspective. And of course it's so different now, but it's a full-time job on top of a full-time job, right? So it's making sure that you're staying balanced, but you're enjoying both jobs, right? And it's you're learning every day, and you're with the people, like having that like microcosm of people that are like your favorite people in the world, you know, that you get to be in class with, and that you get to live with, and that you get to play with, is such a special time in your life that you won't really ever replicate in a meaningful way, the same way again. So, you know, Lisa and Liz are 100% right. Just try and enjoy all of it. I know it's stressful. I know it can be a lot, but honestly, it's gonna be stuff that you're gonna go back to in your mind, and when you're looking at, you know, your memories, just look back on everything fondly.
Yes, and I would say along the same lines, enjoy it. I mean, my senior year was the fall of '99, so it was after the summer of '99 and the World Cup win at the Rose Bowl, and there's such momentum for women's soccer, and it was an exciting time. And I would have loved to go and play after college, but there were loans to pay and full-time jobs. And yes, you leave and you realize how great it was. And yes, it played, you know, through my 20s, but it wasn't anywhere near the same. So enjoy it, enjoy being with your team. Enjoy just Bucknell, everything it has to offer. And yeah, I wish we could get back maybe next spring.
Thank you guys. You guys were on some very successful teams in your time at Bucknell. What do you think some of the keys were to that success you experienced?
Well, for me, it was just persistence. I mean, we were the underdog coming in. It was our first time with a varsity program when I was a freshman. And, you know, we got our butts handed to us time and time again my freshman year. And just knowing that, hey, you know what, we're young, we've got a young, you know, recruiting class, things are going to get better, and just really continue to persist. And, you know, when it finally hit, it was, you know, when we finally beat Army for the first time, it was just like freaking finally, you know, I think it took 3 years or something. But when it finally felt like we were able to compete with these teams that had been varsity for so long, you know, it was worth it. It was worth all the fighting. It was worth being the underdog for so long. And yeah, the hard work and the camaraderie that comes with that was extremely meaningful.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we were successful because, like Snover said, I mean, we genuinely really liked each other. You know, we really were a team on and off the field. We spent a lot of time together. By choice and by, you know, and at practice and games and traveling and all of that sort of thing. But, you know, I think I can't remember a time in 4 years that we had a team that didn't get along, or that really just, you know, like Snover said, they were your best friends. And so I think that makes a huge difference in how you trust each other on the field, and how you play, and who you're playing for, and all of that sort of thing. And then when I was thinking about that question, that's sort of the first thing that came to mind of, that's why we were able to have some of those successful teams back then.
Absolutely. We just had each other's backs no matter what was going on and off the field. Like it was just amazing. But I also, like, you know, to add something else, like, I think like the success and that Lisa and you know, she started to bring to the program, and the more the program started to, you know, get put on the map a little more from the beginning. I think Bucknell invested such passion behind building this program. I mean, gosh, it didn't take that long for success to happen. I mean, my junior year, we went undefeated in the Patriot League for the first time. So that I'm only 2 years behind Lisa. So the momentum that she brought and started to pull with her, and the commitment that Bucknell and the Bucknell Athletics Department put behind building this program. I mean, I don't see, like, it had to have been such an effort and such a commitment from so many different people outside of the team in order to make that as successful as quickly as it did. So I think it was the team, it was Toby and the efforts that he brought, but it was also the support of the school and the athletic department that saw that, you know what, there's a real possibility for something special here. And we have, and I think it was like Lisa and the people that came before you who actually really started the program as club, they really you could feel how passionate they were about starting this. And it wasn't like haphazard. It wasn't like, this is fun, this is cute. It's like, we want this. And that was sort of the stage that was set. And gosh, I mean, what was it? Not even like Lisa, I'm only 2 years behind you. And so my junior year, so that's what, less than 5 years, we went from getting your butts kicked to winning the Patriot League regular season and having had beaten every single team in the league in a short amount of time. So to me, that is just, you know, reeks of commitment from so many different places at Bucknell, not just the players, but the the school community as a whole.
Yep, I mean, I would reiterate a lot of that is the hard work. It's great teamwork, and I was probably part of the transition from Toby's era to Chrissy's era, and it became intense training, a lot more intense recruiting. The program really grew by leaps and bounds, and I think a lot of that was just we had a great core group that worked well together. I think Liz said it. It's just I actually enjoyed being with this group of girls and playing soccer, and you could see that on the field and the impact it had on how we played together and the unity and the just the cohesion that we had working on the field. And I think that's probably the key to our success.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Becky, I would encourage you to watch the interview with our group of pre-varsity players, because
I did
really feel that passion, and they walk you through how they got the program to, you know, the status.
Oh.
And, it was an awesome interview with those guys, but definitely
That's awesome.
I think that Bucknell and those early on players, even before this group, were so instrumental in that success. So all right, next question. This will be a fun one. What was your most memorable experience as part of the Bucknell women's soccer program?
I think I already just accidentally said it, is when we beat Army. I mean, it was a long time coming. And I think when we finally got that win, it was finally, we made it. Finally, we got the respect and felt like we were put on the map as a competitive soccer team. So for me, it was getting that win, because we were getting beat 3-0, 4-0, 5-0 year after year. So that was it for me, definitely.
So probably the ones we can talk about, for sure, I would say that our undefeated league season, my sophomore year, was probably one of the most memorable experiences that I had. So that was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it was that same season, Liz, and I'll go even more specifically, the first time, sorry, Coach Cook, that we beat Colgate. It was literally, I remember we were on our home field and it was 1-0. And I just remember looking at that clock and, oh my God, I was like, I got to hold this ball. I got to just, we got to do. And I mean, to me, it was like, again, Lisa, that same sentiment over beating Army. It was like, thank God, like it was like every time we would go to Colgate, we would get killed, like 2-3-0, or it was close, it was competitive. I mean, it was always snowing. Their fans were always like killing us, like, and it was terrible. It was like, oh my God, we have to drive this far, and we know what we're but it was finally, like, literally, it was just validation at that point. It was like, we did it. And to me, I remember holding that ball in my hands when the time expired, and it was just, I felt like everybody that came before us, like we did them proud, and they did us proud. So
I think for me, it's probably what's most memorable is some of the travel that we did. In freshman year, we got to go out to New Mexico, which was just amazing, to play a couple games. But then senior year, we went out to California, playing at Pepperdine. It's just the most beautiful campus and field that you could ever imagine to play soccer on, looking out over the ocean. And it was just an amazing experience to get to go play West Coast soccer. and also as a senior, just to have that experience with my other senior teammates, to travel to CLA and do all that as part of the Bucknell program was pretty incredible and memorable.
Awesome. Very, very cool. Next question, I'm going to turn over to Alana.
All right. So who was the teammate you admired the most throughout your career here, and why?
For me, I mean, I came in with my roommate, Joanne Crane, and we were part of the first recruiting class. And I think, I could be mistaken, we were probably the only 2 people left out of that class that was still playing my senior year. Yep. There might have been one more, but it was very strange. Usually, you know, as you become a senior, you know, more of you are starting, and it was really unique with our situation. You know, as more recruits came in, less and less people from the year before were actually making the team. So the new recruits were actually beating out the players that were already there. So to have only one person left from my senior year that was still playing, it was kind of unique. It usually doesn't happen like that. It's kind of the opposite. But it was me and her. You know, we were roommates, and she was very quiet, but you know, she didn't talk a lot, but she was always played hard, and I don't even remember having long conversations with her, but she came, she worked hard, and she kicked butt, and she was extremely aggressive, and she always did what she was supposed to do. So, you know, I enjoyed playing with her, and she toughed it out all 4 years with me. So that's a lot.
So I thought about this question a lot, and it made me think about the other girls on the call, and sort of all the things that I admired about you guys, you know, with Lisa just being able to score at will at any time, just whenever she wanted to. Snover being so tough in the goal and just being so competitive. And with Gelly being able to head in anything that we crossed, no matter where it was. It didn't even have to be a good cross. She could head it in. So, you know, it made me think through some of all those really great characteristics that everybody on this call had. But when I started to really think through it, I thought about a teammate that was my year. Her name was Karen Spall. Her name is Karen Spall. And I'm a little funny thinking back on all the details, but she had really a career-ending knee injury, and wasn't able to play very much, if at all, her senior year. And she was such an inspirational leader. And even when she was not on the field, she was such an inspirational leader. And you know, our biggest fan. And it made me think back to just how selfless she was. I mean, how disappointing is that when you have a career-ending knee injury and can't finish out your senior year? And, you know, looking back on that, and looking back how she never felt sorry for herself and was always so encouraging, and just such a selfless leader, you know, especially thinking back of that as a 40-ish-year-old person, I guess now, you know, how incredible that was. So that's the person that I thought of.
Yeah, I mean, same thing, like Lisa and Liz and Gelly. I mean, like, you guys all brought so much to the table that was so inspiring, you know. And for me, like, learning, you know, just watching you guys play, I learned so much more, right, than anything. I think we had so many amazing teammates that had such different personalities and different skill sets and different stories, right? That I think for me, I took something from everybody I played with. Like, you know, Spally for sure. I mean, that was just, you know, her like, she was just an inspiration, and she was always positive no matter what she was going through and what she was sacrificing and the pain and all that. She always brought it, whether she could be on the field or not. Like, she was there. Becky Wagner, who, you know, same thing. She was like, you know, major knee injuries, and man, she was one of the most skilled players I'd ever played with, but she had lost a step because of the injuries. And, you know, but she still brought it every single day, brought that positive attitude. You know, my roommate and the other co-captain with me, my junior and senior year, Amy Green, I mean, God, she was a co-captain of both the soccer team and the women's lacrosse team, on top of becoming a National Merit Scholar. Like, if you look, her name is outside of the Soika Pavilion before you move in or walk in. And so, I mean, God, to be a dual sport varsity starter, captain of 2 teams, and to essentially carry a 4.0 in, molecular biology, she to me was just an inspiration and all that. But I took something from everybody. I think we had so many different personalities. And at the end of the day, I look back and I'm like, wow, how did so many different personalities mesh as well as they did? And it's because everybody had that common level of respect and wanting to be there and to not be the one that was the weak link. So.
Yeah, I mean, I have 2 amazing teammates on the call now, who just, I aspired to play and have the achievements that they did before me, and actually, just hearing so much about Lisa, I'm sad that we didn't cross paths at some point along the way, and could have played together. But it's interesting you said Spally, because I remember her being inspiration. And when I really thought about this, I thought about in my year, we had a great class, but in particular, Sarah Stopper, who went through a season-ending knee injury our freshman year, and she was just an amazing player. But to see her battle back from that, and just how much courage that took, especially now when I can look back at it with perspective, because I blew out my knees in my 20s, but to know how difficult that is to try to come back at the college level, and how inspiring it is, and just knowing that we had a great group of girls that was supporting everybody, and especially those who had an injury, and helping them get back on the field, and that's just really inspirational.
Awesome, thank you for sharing. Next question, we're going to switch gears here a little bit. What skills do you think you took from your experience as a Bucknell soccer player that have helped you since graduating, whether in personal life or work experiences? And for this one, we'll flip it. So we'll Katie, we'll start with you, and then we'll flip it so we can get some, change our order up here.
It works. Probably hard work and prioritization. Really having to learn how to manage my time. I remember, I was a double major, and trying to study on the bus, no matter where we're going, back and forth, and the commitment to playing soccer and how much time that took. So just all of that together, it was a lot to prioritize. And so just having an experience like that at Bucknell really prepared me for life after Bucknell. I remember having an econ exam. It was on a Friday of the Patriot League tournament, and having to miss the bus because I had to stay to take the econ exam, and having to go up later on, and just prioritizing, okay, academics is what's going to take me into my career after Bucknell, but still, making that commitment to soccer. So it's just that juggling, that prioritization, hard work, figuring out how to accomplish it all.
Yeah, that definitely. I think too, for how to work together. I mean, this is cliche, but it's so I don't feel like you learn how to work as a team unless you've really lived it, right? I mean, working with so many different personalities and all towards a common goal, and just trying to figure it out, and being there, and just, I think the one thing that I loved about our program is that it didn't matter if you were a freshman, if you were a senior, you could lead, right? And everybody had their own, sort of styles, and I think watching that, and how Joanne Crane, I know Lisa brought up Joanne, she was a quiet leader, right? She led by, example. She just worked her tail off for 90 minutes, or every practice. She didn't say much, but, she spoke volumes with how she prepared and how she practiced. I was super vocal, probably more vocal than I should have been, right? So that was my leadership style. But, just people, I felt like, Gelly, as a freshman, your presence on the field, and you could have, screamed at all of us to pick up the tempo, pick up the intensity, and nobody would have been like, that's a freshman saying, so I think it was just picking up on different leadership styles and kind of using those sort of to help me in my career and to start leading large teams and to understand that everybody has a different skill set, a different personality, and a different way of leading, and recognizing those and making sure that those people who may not be as vocal feel empowered. So I think that helped.
Yeah, I certainly echo those comments about teamwork. And, that was all through at Bucknell and all through all the club teams that we all played on, before we got to Bucknell, and all those skills that we learned all through that time. It's amazing if you sort of consciously think about it, that all translates sort of exactly to work. And being successful in your career and that sort of thing. So I definitely echo all those comments about teamwork and how important that is, and how those skills can really take you far.
For me, yes, I'll echo the teamwork and being around a group of people for so many years together, actually living with them. For me, going away to school was terrifying. I didn't think I could even handle the classes at Bucknell. I thought I was in over my head. Just being able to get the confidence to be able to juggle school and soccer, and then still, learn to be around different personalities and grow with them, and, have the camaraderie. So for me, it's just, it built a lot of confidence in myself and my abilities, and being able to realize, like, wow, I not only did I get through school, I actually didn't flunk any classes, and, I kept the 3.0, and I was able to play soccer at the same time and did well. And so for me, it was a huge confidence builder, and I owe it to all the support that I had on the field and off the field, with all the friends that we made, and the teamwork, and all the people that were, that always help other people out when they're going through a tough time, and they become like a second family to you. So I learned a lot.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Hoping you guys can go around and update us on your personal life, where you live, what you're doing career-wise, family, whatever you'd like to share. But love to hear from you guys, and we'll keep with the switched order for now.
Okay.
I suppose.
So I live in Southern Connecticut now, married, have 4 children. So my daughters are 13 and 11, and my identical twin boys are 6. So they keep us very busy. Married to a Brit, so plenty of soccer in our house. And I worked in finance for about 12, 13 years. And right now I own my own business, run a senior home care agency, taking care of seniors at home. And that takes up a lot of my time. That's where I am.
We actually just made a pretty large move from New Jersey down to Southern Virginia. We had been down here, back from 05 to 08, but we are back at a boarding school that my husband taught at back in 05 and 08, and he is the head boys soccer coach at the boarding school, and he teaches Spanish. And my son is 14, and he's going to be starting his freshman year, hopefully in person, in September. My daughter, Emily, is 12, and she's going to be in 7th grade, and she is not a soccer player. She is an ice hockey player, so we've learned this whole other world that was completely unfamiliar to me. Right from Bucknell, I worked for Accenture for 15 years, doing management consulting, a lot of global work. I then went into environmental consulting. I have a biology degree, so I did environmental consulting for 5 years before we came down here. But because this was such a huge move and such a great opportunity for our family, I left my job in New Jersey, and so I'm just doing some strategy consulting work for the school. Kind of being a mom for like a full-time mom for the first time in a while. So I'm enjoying that. But hopefully going to be getting involved. I started some training, a certification program to start working with kids who are struggling with some anxiety and depression, and like helping, I feel like I struggled with some anxiety throughout my life, and I feel like I've sort of had the opportunity now to sort of focus on that and start, helping others who struggled with it. So I'm really excited to start working with some of the kids here and in the Lynchburg community. So.
So I currently live in Greensboro, North Carolina. So Snover, we're actually not that far apart right now. I know we're gonna have a mini reunion.
Absolutely.
So we've been here almost 20 years. I just celebrated my 19th wedding anniversary this week. So married. I've got a 16-year-old son, a 13-year-old daughter. They both play soccer. Probably not near as competitive as I am, but they enjoy it, but they like to do other things too. I currently work as a VP of Human Resources for a furniture manufacturing and sourcing company. And I've been doing that for about 10 years now.
I moved out to California probably about 6 or 7 years after I graduated. I decided to become a forensic psychologist. So there was a doctoral school out in California, and I went out and got my doctorate and decided I did not want to be in the cold anymore. And so I ended up staying. I met my husband here. He's actually played professional football in Europe. So he's a tackle football player. And so when I met him, we actually started a women's tackle football league. That's now nationwide. So I've been kind of doing a whole nother sport, but that's been kind of fun. And then we have one son, he's 9 years old. And he's not as competitive either, and it kills me. But I try not to let it show.
Are you still playing competitive tackle football?
I retired last season. This would have been my retired season, but I played for a team in Southern California, and we made it to the national championship. Twice. We got beat by Boston twice, 2 years in a row, and I think I'm gonna hang it up. But yeah, I've still been active. I'm afraid what's gonna happen when I stop playing a sport. I don't know what happens when that happens. It's scary to me.
Very cool, very cool. I'm gonna let Alana ask another question here, and hopefully this is a good one for all of our student athletes that will be watching this episode next week. So Alana, go ahead.
All right, so what advice do you have about networking and finding the right job after Bucknell?
I think just be open to all the resources that Bucknell can offer. Really, it was just unlimited resources for any type of career opportunity that you might want to pursue. And even when we were there wasn't really the online resources that you have available now. I mean, it's just grown by leaps and bounds. There's so many advantages to meeting professionals in any industry. Take advantage of any of the online networking events now, in-person events, join the Bucknell clubs in your area so you continue to meet people. It's just crazy how often I meet somebody who went to Bucknell and we have a common experience, and it's a great way to start a conversation, get to know what they're doing, their industry, and just grow your network of people. Having that Bucknell degree, it can take you so far and open up so many avenues in your professional life. But just take advantage of all the opportunities you have on campus, and then continue, after you leave and graduate.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I would take it a step further and make sure that you're, I think like one of the things that I regret not doing or doing a better job of is building strong relationships with my professors and others. It's not something that I spent a lot of time cultivating, and there have been many moments in my life where I've regretted that, and I've been envious of those who do still have those connections or have them at very critical times. The job market is crazy, right? It's something that's completely unpredictable, and it's a world that none of us have experienced before. So I think my best advice is to be flexible. If the job that you want or the opportunity that you want isn't there right away, think about what else you can be doing, what skills are needed in the market right now, and how do you get them, even if it's not something that you want to do long term. Sort of have that growth mindset to understand, hey, this may not be what I want to do long term, but what can I learn from it? Where can it get me? Because again, it's so unpredictable, and nobody's lived through this before. So the more flexible and willing to, take the good with the bad, or to learn everything that you can, and to maybe explore areas that you never thought you would have before, just until the right opportunity comes up. I would just recommend, just trying to be as open-minded and passionate about, whatever opportunity you can come forth, will help you out.
Yeah, and I would say on top of that too, to not be scared if you don't know exactly what you want to do right when you graduate. I was that person. I had no idea what I wanted to do, so I went to graduate school. I think that's what people do a lot of times when they don't know exactly what they want to do. So I went to grad school, and you're going to have so many classmates that are so focused and know exactly what they want to do, but like Snover said, especially in these times, it's good to have an open mind. It's good to keep a lot of options open, and don't put so much stress on yourself, and don't worry if you don't know exactly what that is right away. A lot of figuring out what you want to do is eliminating maybe what you don't want to do, and that takes some time and some effort.
Yeah, I mean, I like what Snover said about getting to know your professors. I definitely did not get to know my professors. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was just happy that I got out of there with a 3.0 and was like, all right, so where's the money? And then realized, okay, I'm majored in psychology. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll go to grad school. And so I went to grad school, got my master's in psychology, only to find out you still can't do anything with your master's in psychology.
Yep.
I had to go, all the way across, the states, and found a doctorate school and realized what I wanted to do. I want to work in the, with criminals. I want to be a forensic psychologist, and then had to go to school for another 4 years for that. So it's fine not to know what you want to do, but if you are able to narrow it down, I did not have any contacts or networks with Bucknell. By the time I even knew what I was doing, I was all the way in California. So it did take me a lot of time to do that path. It kind of wound around a lot. So if you do know what you want, take advantage of it and kind of map it out a little bit, because I certainly did. I think a lot of people think that if you graduate from college, you're just going to get a job, and that's just how it works. And it really did not work out that well for me until I got a little bit older.
Thank you, guys. That's all some really, really good advice. Final question here, and it's a two-part question. And this one I'm really excited to hear your thoughts on. So what are your thoughts on the current state of the program and how it's grown through the years? And then what advice would you give me as a current head coach of the program?
For me, honestly, I look at the program now with a bit of jealousy. I mean, it's amazing just where you are in the past 20 years. I love to follow your success, all the Patriot League titles, winning that quite a few times, seeing you actually be able to battle it out in the NCAA. So just the success of the program has been amazing to see. So it's great. So thank you. And I love that we were a part of it at a time. And in terms of advice, I mean, I've coached my kids soccer, but I wouldn't say that I necessarily know how to advise a D1 coach, what the best steps are, but probably just continue to recruit a diverse group of players, because I think that's just a huge component to success, to make sure you have a team that has a variety of skill sets and a variety of backgrounds, that they all bring something a little bit different to the field, and they can complement each other and challenge each other. And good luck, because I'm enjoying watching where the program's going.
Yeah, definitely. It's so cool to see how successful and just how strong the program has just, and again, it really hasn't been that long when you think about it. And Kelly, I mean, the stuff that you've done and the success that your teams have been having, you're always going to have very skillful players available to you because of what you've built, right? And it makes us all look like we were better players. Like they say, hey, I played for Bucknell. Well, I probably couldn't make the team today. But it's one of those things, right? You're going to have the skilled players, people wanting to come to Bucknell. My advice would be to continue to make sure that the team chemistry is just as important as, the skills and the level of play that you're seeing on the field, because, so many competitive players now, and, players vying for starting positions. Like, we really didn't live through that. I mean, as Gelly's team started to come up, then we started to see a lot more competition for starting spots. So now, so we didn't have to necessarily deal with too many, potential chemistry issues over who's starting, who's not. But, just making sure that team chemistry stays as strong as it is, because I'm sure that's been a huge component of your success, along with the level of players that you've been able to bring in.
Yeah, I definitely echo some of those things, and I'm like Gelly. I don't know if I have some great, profound advice for a Division I soccer coach, but certainly, like Snover said, there's so much competition, and really paying attention to the mental aspect and the confidence levels in your players, and I think the more competitive it gets, the more you have to pay attention to some of those aspects of the game that maybe we didn't think about quite as much, back then, but I think they're probably vitally important, and you're probably seeing that more and more, that the mental aspect and the psychological aspect of the game is more and more important for your teams as the years go by.
First of all, congratulations. The program is amazing, and I love getting the newsletters and following you guys. Definitely proud to say I've played there. You guys are doing an amazing job. So I love to see you guys totally on the map and being competitive. It's a good thing to see. As far as recruiting, I mean, for me, I know when I was being recruited, my biggest turnoff was really just the kind of coach that, kind of acted like their program was so amazing. And I just got turned off by a lot of the coaches that felt like, like almost like they were interviewing you to come in rather than you interviewing them and where they can fit into the program. For me, Toby told it, just like it is. He was, upfront and honest. I could tell he was being honest. He wasn't bullshitting me. He was like, it's going to be tough, but this is exactly where you're going to fit in the program. This is where we need you in the program. This is where you fit in. And for me, I felt like I had a place. I knew where I was going to be. Whereas a lot of the other places, it's like, yeah, it'd be great. Come on into our program. And just, I didn't feel the comfort level. I didn't feel like I was just a number, I guess. To me, it felt like that I was just one of a million other recruits that are coming in, and they're just showing off their program and how great they are. To have that one-on-one personal interaction and to be able to tell the player, this is exactly what you're going to do for us, that made all the difference for me.
Awesome, guys. That was some really, really good advice, and in all things that, as I continue to coach this program, I'm continuing to learn every day, and hearing your perspective and from your experience is so helpful, and really, really enjoyed the call tonight. I cannot thank you guys enough. One of my favorite parts of this profession is connecting with and hearing the stories and the passion of the players that came before, and it helps me understand the program and understand how to continue to motivate our players through your stories and the passion you guys all showed tonight. So thank you so much for taking the time. I really, really hope, I know some of you guys are a little farther away, but there's an opportunity where you can make it back to campus. Bring your children and bring them back and show them what Bucknell is, and show them, you know, all those times that you had, and share that with them. I have a 15-month-old, so maybe I should ask some mom advice, because there seems to be a lot of moms, especially the twin 6-year-old. That's my biggest fear is twins. But no, it sounds like from all your stories, you had a great experience here, and I'd love to hear more in person someday. And like I said earlier, this would be an amazing 4v4 team if this team wants to enter. And you can come out of retirement, Lisa. I bet you'd score a few goals. And so I would hope to sometimes get a chance to meet you guys face to face. But thank you so much. I can't reiterate that how special it is. You'll take the time to come and spend an hour with us and share your passion and stories.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Coach. And I want to start, I'm going to get some closing comments here, but I want to start first of all by thanking Alana for joining us tonight. I hope training has been going well, and we all have our fingers crossed that we're going to get some positive news about the fall. But even if we don't, we'll take it one step at a time, and maybe you'll be playing games in the spring. So who knows? It's changing every day. So, and then for the rest of you ladies, I know Coach and I have talked a lot about your decade, the decade of the 90s, and how much talent was there, and how much you all did to really build the program and get the program going. And with the exception of the four of you and maybe a few others, it's been a decade that's been a little bit disconnected from the program. And I would really hope that you guys can help spread that word to your teammates and others that, you know, Coach would love to have you guys come back and address the team. I think you have such a powerful story to share with our current student athletes about the history of the program and where it came from, and even networking now with what you've done in your careers has been so valuable to hear. I know Alana's taken a lot from the call, and the team will watch the call, but anytime you guys are in the area, or if Bucknell's playing in your area, I'm sure Coach would love to have you guys come and chat with the team. So again, thanks so much for the time tonight. I'm glad you guys are all doing well. And for those of you at home that watched tonight, thanks for tuning in, and Bison.